Hello again to my podcast. What I want to do is cover here is Crypto Plus because I'm interested in crypto. I've been in the sector for quite a while, and it interests me. But other things also interest me. What's going on in news, what controversies are around, who's talking about what, who's doing what to who, and all that sort of stuff. So this channel is going to be crypto focused and NFT focused, and but also about topical things. So today, anyway, a lot of people have asked me about the Bitcoin price. Obviously, the price of Bitcoin and the price of ETH has surged. The price of all coins in the market has surged over the last 48 hours, and everybody wants to know why. We're in a bear market. We all know that. So what is going on with the Bitcoin price over the past 48 to 72 hours? Well, what's going on is it is surging, right? So 10% up over the past 48 hours. And so why is that happening? Well, one of the things that happens during a bear market is we get these small little reliefs, but they can be called suckers rally. So, they're a short-term form of price relief, a short-term rally that ends up being short-lived, which is what short-term means, right? If we want to get, definitional about this stuff. I'm not buying it. In terms of I'm not buying the narrative that the bear market's finished, that we're good to go, that the new bull market has started. I've been through these cycles a number of times before, and I've seen exactly the same patterns. And while history is no guarantee of future performance, etc., I am not personally convinced that this is marking the end of the bear market. I'm not I'm not qualified to give financial advice. I'm not lawfully allowed to do it. So I'm not doing it. I'm just telling people what my personal views are, which are that this is one of those short-term, short-lived rallies into which I will not be getting sucked. So it is surging, and a great time to cash out if that's what you want to do. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying it's a great time to cash out. If you've made 10% in a couple of days, I mean, if that's your kind of Bitcoin position, and you're happy to take 10% in 48 hours, a damn good return, 5% a day, great. For a lot of people that I know, they're not buying it. They consider it a suckers rally that will not last. So, it's a little bit of relief rally. It's good to see at least some activity and some movement in the markets because they've been very flat for a couple of months. But I consider this to be a short-term surge. We do have to remember that things are still unraveling. BlockFi, Voyager, Celsius, 3 Arrows Capital, Genesis, Digital Currency Group, and obviously FTX. All of those, the fallout from all of those failures are going to continue to weigh on the cryptocurrency sector for quite some time. There's a lot of unraveling to do, and most of that will happen in courts. So I feel that it is too early to call the end of the bear market. We also look at other indicators. NFT volumes remain very, very flat, and all but 100% off all-time highs, kind of thing. 97% off of all-time highs. I don't see that. I see that as an indicator that we're not quite ready to exit the bear market yet. Bear in mind also, the next Bitcoin halving is in 2024. So it's a little more than a year away. That is something to keep an eye on if you're kind of looking at markets and looking specifically at Bitcoin. But yeah, I personally don't see any reason to be short-term hopeful. However, it's nice to see some movement in the price. And that's kind of it for my Bitcoin and crypto insights for for this episode. I've been noticing that there's a pure blood movement on Twitter. And that's because some information is coming out about the mRNA vaccines. I am not a doctor. I am not going to say anything about the safety or efficacy of the mRNA vaccines against either the Wuhan strain or the Alpha or the Delta strains or the Omicron strain or the new strain that's arisen in China, which is in the Omicron lineage. What I am interested in is the idea that there's a pure blood movement commentary. That is, you are of pure blood if you refuse to take the vaccine in the first place. I am not prepared to say whether I am vaccinated or not, and I'm not going to ask anyone whether they are or not, unless they want to come on the show and tell me and talk to me about it. Although we are limited because unless people are doctors, they really shouldn't be discussing this sort of stuff, doctors and scientists. Let's leave it to doctors and scientists to discuss it, and let's allow them the speech and the platforms on which they may discuss it. I've seen a lot of highly credentialed people being very reluctant to talk in either a positive or negative way about anything regarding vaccines, or so, even regarding COVID itself, which is a shame. I think if we want to live in an open and democratic world, we need to allow the free flow of information, especially informed information. So I am deeply concerned about the fact that information was shared behind closed doors. Information that should be made publicly available wasn't made publicly available, and I think it is on us to demand greater access to a fuller and more comprehensive suite of information and data. That's probably about as much as I'm prepared to say on the pure blood movement. Here that popped into my head, and this is based on the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, and the fact that it is Russia and Russian ammunitions, or Russian military equipment, fighting against Ukraine with NATO military equipment. And one of the things the war has shown is that you can't beat NATO, right? NATO kind of makes the rules by force if they have to. And I was wondering if NATO would not think about expanding into like NATO plus. So if you think of, NATO as it is, and say we were to create NATO plus to include, let's start with Japan, Taiwan, Australia, New Zealand, the Philippines, Malaysia, democratic countries, South Africa, democratic countries, India, Pakistan, democratic countries that are the India Pakistan thing might be tough to do politically, but democratic countries that all stand to declare their intention to protect each other. An invasion against one is an invasion against all. Then we'd have peace forever. Because I don't like war. It's fucking ugly and it's horrible. So what if there were a NATO plus, which was, you try to grab as many democracies in. I mean, that's one of the, the tenets of NATO, and it's one of the democratic peace theory, which has seemed to have held true since World War II, that, democracies don't tend to go to war with each other. So if that's the case, why would NATO not expand? And that would probably mean the end of war. You're still going to get civil wars in less secure and fragile and failed states. You're still going to get cross-border skirmishes among non-democratic states that are fragile or that have ethnic tensions or whatever, those will still happen. But major wars, um, and I call the Russia-Ukraine war a major one, they won't happen anymore. If NATO is expanded, and no one's going to take on NATO, right? If NATO is just the ultimate deterrent. We came from a world where we were deterred by mutually assured destruction, right? The Soviets and the United States had enough nukes to kill it. It just ruined the world, and no one's going to, that war would never be fought. That created a lot of stability in the world. Once the fall of the Soviet Union, the rise of China, now we don't live in that kind of world. We don't have that kind of security. Chile is another country we could have in NATO plus. Brazil. Let's make it as strong as possible. And that would, NATO then becomes the deterrence, the mutually assured destruction style deterrence that we used to have that we no longer have, and would, deter non-NATO plus member aggressors from South Korea. There's another one. I know that would be seen as provocative by some people. The North Koreans wouldn't like South Korea joining NATO plus. The Koreans wouldn't like the Japanese. The Chinese wouldn't like the Taiwanese joining NATO plus. But who cares what they think, really? China is the era of Chinese dominance is coming very quickly to a close as they age and depopulate. They're obviously also lacking in skills, and China lacks a lot of things that you need to continue to prosper. So China is finished. It'll take about 10 years. So anyway, that was just a thought that popped into my head, and it interests me. I don't know if it interests any of you, but I hope it does. I hope you subscribe so you can get all these interesting crypto plus stuff, Maybe we'll be a little more controversial next time, but I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.